There we go. All right, welcome
Thank you.
everyone to a special to a special session. This is Thursday, July 25th, and as a very special guest to the session this evening, we have Nick from F1 and Coffee. Nick, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Chris. How you doing?
Please take a second before we get into everything, all the current news we have for this evening. Um, Introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about your podcast,
Yeah.
and fill us all in.
So my name is Nick. My buddy and I started F1 and Coffee. Came up with the idea last year during the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix at the end of the season, just from making obnoxious comments during the race that then Brundle and Crofty would make a couple minutes later, and we thought this was about the 15th time this had happened over a couple of years, and we thought, what the hell, let's actually do it and start it, and kind of took it and ran with it. And we'd been doing a fantasy league on the side just through email with a bunch of buddies for the past couple of years, and kind of threw that in there. And so we record our podcast live during the race. We've done two that were not live, but for the most part they're always live, and we try to just have fun with it and kind of show the fun side of it, and try to get Americans more interested in F1 and kind of share our love of Formula One with the world.
That's great. I think that's obviously been the long time sort of mission with even within the Formula One higher ups is trying to bring America, and drag it into and pull it into the F1 circle a bit more. And it's good to see their efforts with including more tracks over the last decade or two, and at least giving them an opportunity to get into the fold a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
So, which is great. So thank you for joining us. We'll have a few stories. You'll have a few stories. We're live on Periscope, so we may even get some questions, comments, or even some suggestions on what's going on here, and we could reply to that.
Cool.
Right. So I'm going to jump into it, and we have first story, which I love feel-good stories. So this is a story that's a year old, but it's so key how it's grown. So I'll get right into it. There's a 16-year-old boy named Stephen Agakani who he caught a lot of recognition last year when he was 15. You think 16, okay, this kid's young. He actually got all his recognition when he was 15 as winning the title at the NASA SoCal Super Unlimited class. And what he did was he secured himself a racing seat with the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Series. Mind blown, right? 15 years old. Pretty freaking incredible. But what makes this kid even more special is that once he got a seat, every bit of success he gained for himself, he gave back. So what he did was he created a charity, and which is
At 15.
At 15,
That's
race
that's
race
impressive.
for it's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid's unbelievable. But the charity's called Race for a Cause, and the purpose is twofold. One is he helps instruct kids who between the ages of 16 and 18 who just got their driver's license. He reinforces the benefits of safe driving. Obviously, well, there are safe is a benefit, but how to be a safer driver. And that's one of the key focuses of the charity. The second piece of it is he's raising funds for an elementary school that's in need in his hometown in Los Angeles. Once again, at the age of 15. But what this kid also did was he just had a driver driving a track day fundraiser at Willow Springs International Raceway. So when he did this last year, he raised $40,000. And then when he held the second event just 2 months ago, he raised over $200,000. for his charity. This kid is one of those people that if you have the opportunity to meet him or you're walking by, you see him, you go out of your way and you shake this kid's hand. This is a kid who's putting in the time, not only into his career, but to making sure that he gives back the right way to the community.
It's a rare feat among adults these days, let alone 15, 16-year-old kid.
100%. And that's what makes it all that much more special.
Yeah,
you nailed it.
Awesome.
100%. So, incredible kid. What you see on the screen right now is his father, who is owner of his race team. But it's a very impressive story. Once again, Stephen Agakani. You'll see the hashtag in the description of the video. Check him out. I believe his Twitter handle is Stephen Racing or at Stephen Racing. That's Stephen right now on the screen. But extremely impressive kid. Wish him all the best. Great feel-good story right there. So
awesome.
Good for him. We're going to move forward. Great story here. This is a story of a gentleman named Tommy Johnson Jr. Now, what's great about Tommy is that when he was 15 years old, back at Bandimere Speedway, he was racing in the super gas category, for that day, and he made it to the final round at at 15 years old. Another 15-year-old story here. Crazy, right? So
I feel a theme coming on here.
Exactly right. But it was the first final round appearance in any of the four classes he had ever raced in, and he once again lost in the final round, and it kind of stung a little bit, a lot. And he went on. Tommy went on to have a very successful drag racing career. Let's fast forward 35 years. And in 35 years of going back to Bandimere Raceway, he managed to get into the final round a total of 4 more times, never winning it until this past Sunday. So he finally won it after 35 years. Highly emotional moment for the guy on the NHRA Twitter feed. Nice, proud Tommy right there.
So he's what, 51 years old now?
That would be about correct. Yes.
Man, I'd love to be racing at 51.
It's incredible. You know,
awesome.
I was just reading, and it's not a story I was going to report on today, but John Force is 70 years old, and he's still racing. And right now, he's having a great season where he's climbing up the points of the NHRA, catching a lot of people's attention at 70 years old. So
it's crazy.
Amazing. Yeah, great stuff.
Good for him.
But,
that's awesome.
Yeah, really cool story. What was I going to show? Just to touch on it, and I highlighted it here. Tommy defeated, in order, John Deal, his Don Schumacher Racing teammate Jack Beckman, and Cruz Pedregon. Okay. Those aren't easy people to defeat. And then in the final round, he defeated Bob Taskett III with a time of 4.158 at 302.14 miles per hour to take home the quote-unquote Wild Winners Trophy. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, can you imagine that?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But here's the trophy. Just a second, as we know that any NHRA highlight is never that long. When he has a winning time of 4-something seconds. So what we're going to do is take a quick look at that winning run.
Down they go, and the header flames up. It's Tommy Johnson Jr. for the second time in the 2019 season.
That's it. Wait, the race is over?
108 miles per hour, finally, in the fifth.
They only do the one run. They don't do 35 laps or 100 laps.
No, that was the second one of the but once again, his first time in 35 years, 36 years of attempting it.
That's awesome.
A Bandamere. So good, another good feel-good story there.
Awesome.
Good.
I like that.
Yeah, I love stories like that. And this guy was over the moon. The whole team celebrating. That video was courtesy of the official NHRA YouTube channel. So good for them putting that out. All the highlights of Bandamere are on their channel. Great story. Good for Tommy. Congratulations.
Awesome.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. The next story. And this is courtesy of Racer Magazine. So a lot of chatter in both paddocks of NASCAR and IndyCar. You have the drivers, you have the team owners, you have track owners, you have engineers. A lot of chatter. Could NASCAR and IndyCar team up for a doubleheader over one race weekend? That's the story. So, Nick, this is something that could, when you have opinions and you have, all the intricacies of how this would work between two mega racing series. This could be a big topic and a lot of discussion. What's the, before I get into some details of the article, what's the knee-jerk reaction when you hear something like that?
I'm going to be at the track all damn day. I'm going to be there for 18 straight hours. And I'm going to be absolutely, you're exhausted after one race, let alone, two potentially 2 to 3 hour races each with a break in between. I mean, bring a lot of water.
You're 100% right. And that's actually one of the concerns that's brought up by some of the racers and team owners is that they even state that if both races were to occur on the same day, they wouldn't even bring their own family to an event like that.
Yeah.
So I think part of the discussion is it's twofold. One is there's already been a lot of talk about the length of a NASCAR race.
Yeah.
And NASCAR drivers and NASCAR officials and NASCAR higher-ups are talking about how do we shorten a race? How do we get through this? There are people that are at the track for 3+ hours, and it's And
that's just at the track, though. That's not even the whole day. I mean, they're getting there at 7 a.m. and tailgating and drinking beer all day, and that kicks your butt.
It's track in the Midwest or on the West Coast or whatever. You got temperatures where it was even mentioned at Vegas. It was like 105. So how do you? So then you immediately start thinking one of two things: either you shorten the length of the NASCAR race, right, or you spread it out over a race weekend. You have IndyCar one day, NASCAR the other day, or vice versa. Then you get into the style of track. What kind of track are you actually going to do it on? You can do it on an oval. You can do it on a road course.
Yeah.
And that's one of the concerns, I think, because, when people think NASCAR, I think one of the first immediate, things that pops into the head is an oval. It's like you just can't help it. You think NASCAR, you think an oval. You think IndyCar, and I think you're going to have a significant higher percentage of people that are thinking about like a road course.
Or the Indy 500.
What's that?
Or the Indy 500 by itself.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. NASCAR I think over the last 3-4 years, NASCAR has been really paying close attention to their ratings when they visit road courses on their calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So, like when NASCAR's up at Watkins Glen, what's their ratings? And their TV ratings have been very good. The at-track attendance has been, unfortunately, a little bit lower than usual, or what Watkins Glen would want. That's because it's a little bit more out of the way. But the TV ratings for the road courses on NASCAR have been up and have received better than expected, reception with viewers. So I think that having a road course would be twofold. It would help both drivers of both series, right? Because they're already, to some degree, one degree or another, used to having a road course on their calendar, but two, it would also help NASCAR really grow that element and integrate it even more. So if the ratings are going up for something like that, why not continue to look for more road courses to integrate into their calendar?
How many drivers do you think would try to do both races in that scenario?
It's funny you say that because I know it was discussed, and then some were even quoted as saying that they wouldn't mind giving that a shot.
I mean, we'd see Fernando Alonso and Kimi Räikkönen back there.
You never know. That's a good point. But the overall consensus among the drivers that were interviewed, not only for this article, but there are various videos that are in the article that you can just click on and watch, where drivers are clearly stating that they think the more the better. They welcome it. I think everybody's on board with it, but everybody approaches it from the same angle as to they're all trying to tackle the logistics of how to make it work.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, that would be the hardest part.
Yeah, I mean, those were some of the concerns. Everybody thinks from a fan perspective, it would be good for the fans, for the NASCAR fans to witness an IndyCar event, and for an IndyCar fan to witness a NASCAR event and get a taste of each series. Yeah. It's nothing but a good thing. So it's been positive across the board. I know that NBC execs have reached out to both IndyCar and NASCAR. I believe they reached out to IndyCar first and received a warm welcome. NASCAR President Steve Phelps, I believe, he said that he hasn't had any formal talk with NBC about it, but NBC is a vital partner to NASCAR, and he not only would he welcome the thought, but he thinks personally that it would be it's a really strong idea, a really positive, strong idea for all motorsports fans and drivers to pursue.
Yeah.
So, pretty cool stuff, That's it. So it's a good article. Once again, courtesy Racer Magazine. A lot of the article is just opinions that are expressed through Q&As with Racer Magazine and the reporters of Racer Magazine.
It's a fantastic website. If you haven't been to the website, it's fantastic. They do a lot of good stuff over there.
Very solid source of racing news. I refer to them frequently, but they're great. So good article, and that's it. So I know we have some current Formula One news, sir. I'll let you.
I'm gonna throw a little curveball at you, Chris. On that last note, what about F1 and MotoGP in the same weekend?
Dude, that's
that'd be pretty awesome.
It's almost like asking me, hey, I have an idea for putting, chocolate chips in a peanut butter cookie. Is that a good?
Yes, do it.
How do you? I mean, that's just amazing. You get it once you get into, one of the things they mentioned in that article was if you have two series running on the same track, right? And NASCAR goes, and the height and the speeds of the NASCAR cars around a track might be a little bit higher. Say if it's an oval or a tri-oval, you have a lot of rubber that's being laid down.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Right?
What is a tri-oval?
Like it almost looks, it's like a rounded triangle.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Kind of thing, right? So you have say NASCAR goes first, and they lay down a lot of rubber during the race, and then IndyCar goes maybe the next day. It's going to be slick. Yeah. If you come up the temp, you're going to have a pretty slick run. So when you mention that, excuse me, between Formula One and MotoGP, that's a thought again. You have all those rubber knobs you see off the racing line.
Yeah.
It's so amazing with F1, and I know that everyone who views it sees it, is that you see the racing line, which is clean as could be, and then like 2 inches off the racing line, you have a million little rubber
marbles.
Yeah. Which is insane. If Formula One were to go first, then the MotoGP guys would be just flying everywhere.
And that's what Rossi said about the NASCAR Indy scenario.
Right. Listen, but then again, if you reverse the running order, if MotoGP went first, and then they're not really going to leave much behind.
Yeah.
That's an easy cleanup, and then you have Formula One right after that. Do that at Circuit of the Americas or something. That would be insane.
That'd be awesome. Can you imagine the crowd at the Italian Grand Prix that they would have? I mean, that would be absolutely. It's amazing either race, anyways. But
where would you, if just for giggles here, kicks and giggles? Which Italian track would you do that at? Monza? Imola?
Monza.
As you know, that front straight, they're all just going to be screaming. It's just going to be insane.
That's fantastic.
What Monza is, if before the original new version of Monza, before they took out that chicane at the end of the front straight, their chicane used to not be there. It used to just keep going. So just one big sweeping turn until you hit that first left-right, which was pretty cool. But imagine how much speed those cars and bikes would get on a track like that.
It's kind of terrifying.
Hockenheim, when they used to come off and make that first right turn off the grid and then go out into the woods, that straightaway was, was forever.
Yeah.
And then, of course, all those long straightaways, F1 seemed to kill off one at a time. But not many super long straights like that anymore, Yeah. But good stuff. So talk to me. What's cooking with Formula One?
All right. So I picked out a couple things that was been in the news recently. And the first thing is, what the hell is Cyril doing? He's talking about Renault's not going to commit to 2020. They're only going to commit to providing engines to McLaren, and that's going to be it for next year. And they're going to wait until the 2021 rules come out to make a decision on anything.
Right.
They've been in the sport a number of times. They just fought back in 2016, the end of 2015, I guess. I mean, how much money have they sunk into this trying to catch up to Ferrari and Mercedes and Red Bull, and they're just going to leave after 5 years? I mean, who's buying this crap? It just that blows my mind. And this is just my opinion. And my usual partner in crime, Alex, is not here.
Yep.
He would disagree with me on this, but if they really want to be that much better, let's axe Hülkenberg. Let's get rid of him.
Say that again. Get rid of who?
Let's get rid of Hülkenberg. I mean, He's got the record by 41 races of most races without a podium finish. And I think it's 169 races now or something.
Yeah, not a record you want to be holding.
Not a record you want. No, not at all. So, and you just brought on Danny Rick. Bring some support for him.
Right.
I don't know. I don't even know why he says these things. It's all just such gamesmanship, and it's frustrating as a fan just kind of hearing this nonsense that is never actually going to happen.
Right.
So, anyways, next thing. So, in Austria, Mercedes had problems with the cooling of their car due to the heat and the elevation. They claim they have a new chassis with some sort of cooling mechanism, something. I don't even know, to be honest. But let's run through the temperature forecast for the weekend at Hockenheim. It's going to be 102 degrees tomorrow during free practice 1 and 2. A low of 72.
Let's start over. It's going to be 102 tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
That's a high of 102, a low of 72. Okay. No rain tomorrow in the forecast. This was as of a couple hours ago. Saturday, high of 87, low of 67, with a 60% chance of rain.
Okay.
So, free practice 3 is going to be worthless.
Yeah.
And if it's not raining during qualifying, or if it rains in the middle of qualifying, it could get real interesting. Yeah. But then, Sunday, there's a 70% chance of rain, and the temperatures drop another 10 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
How do you plan? How do you set up the car and learn how it works on the track this year with such variations?
That's pretty much a nightmare.
And it could all end up being the same temperature all weekend with no rain or rain all weekend. But right now, it's like every day is different. How do you prepare for that? It's crazy.
Well, you not only is it the temperature, right? You have a temperature differential of about 25, 26 degrees over a period of 36, 48 hours. But then you have the chance of rain, which means now you're dealing with what tires, but then you also have over this period of 48 hours varying track conditions from the sense of how much rubber is actually going to get laid down.
Yeah.
So a lot of your data from last year's race might be out the window based on that alone.
Well, it rained last year too.
But it was different. It was different weather the first 3 days.
Yeah.
Right?
I can't remember what happened in free practice 1 and qualifying. I don't remember what the weather was. I just remember during the race, it wasn't raining hard, but it was hard enough that Vettel blew his race.
Like, based on the practice of qualifying, how much rubber gets laid down on the dry line will affect race day.
Yeah.
Right. So it's God, that's a nightmare. So I mean, has there been any report to that? That's pretty cool that you looked that up, and I had no idea that it's going to be so crazy like that. I mean, are there any reports of teams like pulling their hair out already?
I mean, I haven't seen anything about it, and I'm sure everyone that's really actually worried about it is keeping it quiet.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I wouldn't expect to hear anything, but you got to imagine they're probably freaking out a little bit.
Right.
Matthias probably freaking out the most.
Right.
Maybe Gunther.
Right.
So, speaking of, that will lead into the next thing. So, there's a handful of drivers that I think their futures are uncertain for next year. And a lot of these are pretty common in the news. But Gasly has been beaten by Max in all but one race, 9 of 10. And he's been out-qualified in 9 of 10. But the one race he out-qualified Max in, Max kind of got screwed because Magnussen crashed in Canada and ruined his lap.
Right.
So, theoretically, Max probably would have out-qualified Gasly anyways. And he's getting beat that bad. I mean, it's hard to compete against Max, let's be honest. But if he's getting beat that bad, did they take a chance with someone else? Did they bring Kvyat up over the summer break, or even Albon?
Right.
You know, I don't know. But I don't really expect him to be in that seat next year.
Well, it also, I mean, what are your thoughts on, I mean, well, it's tough to say. I mean, we don't know, but I mean, who's available? I mean, it's one thing to say, you know, let's ditch a driver, but then, and I don't know. I don't know right off the top of my head, like what drivers are actually available if a thought like that were to be followed through.
I got to imagine that it would be Danny Kvyat. And I'm not just saying that because, our tagline for 2019 is Return of the Torpedo. So but he's the more experienced driver on the team. You know, Albon's had a lot of good races and is having a great season, but I gotta imagine Kvyat would get the call up if Gasly got dropped or if they swap spots.
Interesting.
So,
yeah. Good stuff.
And on that note, I gotta imagine Grosjean will be available at some point in the near future. And on that same note about, Gasly or Verstappen kind of not being able to finish his lap in Canada, Grosjean couldn't finish that lap either and ended up qualifying 15th. And over the radio, I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was along the lines of, he messed up my lap, didn't ask if Magnussen was okay or anything, didn't care, just he screwed up my lap.
I remember that, yeah.
And, I think the only way that he has a seat next year, and potentially even after Hungary next weekend, is if Haas is planning to pull out in 2021. Which, if their plans are to leave the sport after next season anyways, maybe they keep him on. But if they're planning to stay long term, I can't imagine he's there, I would say, for 2 more races. But definitely not in 2020, in my opinion.
Right.
So,
think that's a solid line of thought for sure. I
Yeah.
think it's a
And
pretty common.
and if he does get dropped, I think Esteban Ocon would be potentially a great replacement for him.
Right.
And I like Ocon a lot. He's a good driver, and I don't think he really got a fair shot his first time out. So I'd love to see him get back.
Yeah.
Bottas, he's not going anywhere. I'm just going to say it. He's going nowhere. The chemistry is good there. Toto knows it. They don't want a repeat of 2016 with Hamilton and Rosberg. And,
Right.
yeah, he's not going anywhere. But I kind of go back to the only way he's going to beat Hamilton is you've seen the movie Dodgeball?
Yeah, a while ago, yes.
There's a character in there, Stephen Root. His name is, I can't think of his character's name. But Patch just tells him, he's like, if you're going to win this, you got to get mean. You got to get angry. That's what Bottas needs to do to beat Hamilton.
It's funny where Bottas is when he performs, he's got that laser precision focus when you see him race, and he's so precise and so consistent. And it reminds me of Vettel at Red Bull, like when he won his championships. When you would watch him race, it was just like lap after lap, just such precision and such consistency. It was just like boom, boom, boom. So I don't think Bottas has really, what's holding him back is driver error issues. I think it's
Hamilton's fantasticness.
What's that?
Hamilton's just unbelievable driving ability in any conditions.
Yeah. But I think he's an incredibly solid driver.
Yeah.
I can't imagine McLaren ever having a thought of separating from him.
Yeah, I mean he'd be a great number one driver at just about any other team.
I agree with you. Yep.
Not at Mercedes. And
right.
not at Red Bull.
Yeah, right.
So
yeah. Good point. Very good.
So
what else?
I just got one more thing I wanted to bring up.
Yeah,
what the hell's going on with Racing Point, Sport Pesa, Papa Stroll? And is Lance ever going to get out of Q1? Has he become too complacent now that Daddy's taken over the team, and he's just he knows his seat's not going anywhere, and he's just kind of chilling and enjoying his life?
My Twitter stream has lit up with people who have been beating up Stroll like crazy, so it doesn't surprise me, the opinions that.
I mean, we've seen great drives from him. Like, he's a good driver.
Yeah.
Just, this year, I don't know what he's doing. He's improving from qualifying to the finish every race. And he's actually only had one race where he had one DNF. That's the only time he finished lower than he started this season.
Right.
So, it's frustrating to see, but he's not going anywhere as long as Daddy's running the team.
He's got a safe seat. Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
So, and I do kind of miss Sergio and Esteban last year, bickering back and forth and really duking it out. It's fun to watch. And Sergio's just been so quiet this year. Now that he can't, his teammate's dad is the team owner. Can't really say anything. I want to hear him. I want to hear him throw some punches. Like, let's get after it.
That's got to be a very difficult element. It's good for Lance Stroll, but I can't imagine that element for the other driver on that team and so on. And it's at that level of racing, and that level of business, right? I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I would actually make an argument that it's not a healthy situation for the father, the son, or the other driver to be in.
Yeah.
So specifically those three people in the long run, I think that relationship and that dynamic is actually going to hurt them more than help them.
Yeah. Well, and to add on to that, I mean, I don't know how much money they pumped into this thing for 2019, but they were doing better in 2017 when BJ was running the team and I couldn't find the exact number on this, but a budget of about $110 million, which was the lowest budget in the sport in 17. And I got to imagine Lawrence Stroll's put in more than that this season.
Yeah.
So they've got a lot of updates this weekend, and I hope it helps the car and they have a good race, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's interesting nonetheless. The dynamic itself is an interesting story to follow.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
So that was all I had. That was kind of the big things that stood out in my mind this week.
Yeah, cool beans, man. I think that's all really key stuff. I love what you brought to the table, which is, obviously there's other stories that are out there that are catching the mainstream media.
Yeah.
And I think these are just as relevant, if not more relevant, as to, what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stories that do exist in Formula One, such as speculation about Alonso making a return next year, or what the future of Vettel with Ferrari. I mean, those are all stories that you could speculate, and people are just a million different views and many articles and viewpoints on that. So you could just talk till the cows come home about stories like that. But those are really great angles you took on the sport, especially what's going on currently. So very cool, very cool. I think that's pretty much a wrap for this current news update. I know for myself and for everyone watching, if you don't already know, it's Flying 1AT Twitter stream. Everything that's been covered here and everything that will be covered through every race weekend and race week is on the Twitter stream at Flying 1AT, FLYIN, the number 1, the number 8, the letter T. Flying 1AT. That also goes for Periscope, YouTube, and Instagram, and just recently Reddit. Tried to get a little Reddit community going. Hopefully that can over time flourish a little bit. A little tricky, a little difficult to get going.
Reddit's a tricky platform for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
They're tough.
But, yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. But this has been great, Nick. If you could do me a favor, just take let the viewers know where do we find F1 and Coffee Podcast? How do we get it? And then a little bit more about your partner also.
So the podcasts are on Apple, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, all the mainstream ones. Twitter at coffee_F1. Websites f1andcoffee.com, F1 and Coffee, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or you can email me directly at nick@f1andcoffee.com. And we'll be looking to get a podcast out for the race on Sunday, probably Tuesday, Wednesday next week. And we'll be doing the live YouTube stream again this week. So hopefully it goes a little better than last time. It was a little glitchy last time, but I think we're getting the hang of it.
Right.
So, but
that's awesome.
Thanks for having me, man. This is awesome.
No, hey, listen, I appreciate you coming on, and I think you brought awesome stuff to the table here. So thank you very much for joining me for this, and hopefully we can you can join again and share with all the viewers. And I know that although it's a little tricky time slot for the live viewers, I know the replays are just going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of replay views. So thank you very, very much, and hopefully we can have you on again real soon.
Cool. Sounds good, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night, and stay tuned for tomorrow night will be the Flying 1AT race weekend schedule. That'll be out, and we'll review the entire lineup of racing for this weekend and what you can expect and where you can view and what you can find on the streaming services. All right. Thank you to everyone again. Have a great night.